Now before you all slut shame me, let me just explain that I do actually like Demon Slayer. I'm just very conflicted when it comes to determining how good it actually is. Because all the way throughout, I was ready to go in on this show because it had been hyped up so much. So many weebs out there were saying that it was a masterpiece. And you know what? It's not. For like the first 10 episodes, I really didn't enjoy watching. And I'll get into those reasons later on in the video, but basically at a certain point, it started to grow on me. Some cool characters were introduced, and the story began to feel like it was going somewhere. It still wasn't amazing, it was just good. Even when I came to the last episode, I knew exactly what I was going to title this video. Why Demon Slayer is annoyingly mediocre. And I thought to myself, great title. It works because despite all the cool and awesome shit that occasionally happens, there are still a lot of aspects that just drag down the immersion for me. And so I knew that my title would work because I was annoyed at how the show didn't always live up to its potential. However, then I watched the last episode, and it's not even anything special. It's not the best episode of the season by far, but the ending left such a hopeful feeling in me, with Tanjiro looking off into the distance with Nezuko and the others with him, to that little glance we get of the Hashira who I'm so excited to learn more about, to the fucking demon on top of the train, and I just know that shit's about to go down in season 2. It also doesn't help that they play the full version of the end credit song throughout the scene, which is a song that I basically always listen to fully at the end of each episode. So yeah, this ending has got me so conflicted. I don't think this show is annoyingly mediocre anymore, but rather I think it's painfully mediocre, in the sense that it hurts me so much that it's not a masterpiece, because it has so much potential. Thing is, there are a lot of aspects that I really didn't like about this season, but after this ending, I really just don't care. No matter what my feelings on this season are, the more I think about it, the more I just want more Demon Slayer, and I think that's the magical part of the show. However, now that I'm basically a successful YouTuber, I can't just not do my job just because I can't make up my mind. Just like Tanjiro, I have to be resolute in my decisions. So I'll give my honest opinions on Demon Slayer, good and bad, and hopefully I can prove to you guys why it's a promising new shonen anime that does make a lot of missteps along the way, but has the potential to be truly great. After all, we've only seen one season so far, and a lot of good anime don't always have amazing beginning arcs. I mean, of course, if we look at the first 19 episodes of, say, Naruto, and compare this season to that, then Demon Slayer doesn't stand a chance. However, if they fix the glaring problems and they tighten up the writing, then Demon Slayer could go down as an all-time great. So we're going to talk about those things that they need to fix in this video. But let's first talk about the good shit in the season, because it has a lot of good qualities that I really enjoy. And as you all know, here on the TurfNation channel, we're all about positivity. But anyways, the first major point of praise I have for this show is the animation and the artwork. This show is absolutely gorgeous. People have praised this show so much for its animation and design work, and it deserves all of it. This is easily some of the best animation I've seen in anime, period. But it's not just the flawless animations. The blending of colors and the stark contrasts in every scene just make this show beautiful to look at. Despite whether or not the story is engaging at certain times, your eyes will always be tied to the screen. Even just the simple things like snow falling, to the flames from torches in the background, to the character designs that actually say a lot about the characters even though most of them haven't been explored yet. These subtle pieces of immaculate animation and design give the world so much depth, and it makes the show satisfying to watch. Then of course we also have the big scale fight scenes where all of this talent from the studio just shines so brightly. Episode 19 of the show quickly earned itself a 9.9 rating on IMDb, and it cemented itself into anime history. And it's not because of the story, which is still pretty good. It's an emotionally engaging episode for sure, but not enough to warrant an almost perfect score. No, it's the animation. It blows you away. It's almost unlike anything you've ever seen before. I have the utmost respect for the animation team behind the show, who not only mastered the craft of fight scenes, but also created a visual world with so much personality and depth to it. And if it weren't for the demons, I'd love to live here. It looks dope. But yes, the animation in Demon Slayer gets a 10 out of 10. It's amazing. Furthermore, Demon Slayer also benefits from a really interesting concept. I mean, it's simple, but it does the job. Demons go bonk bonk on humans, but some people have big sword and go schling. Very interesting. No, but by the end of the season, you're invested in the story because it's about people whose sole purpose in life is to slay demons, and they're passionate about this because they've each lost something or everything to the demons. I just think this season leaves us wanting more. We want to see this world expanded upon, and this provides the possibility for this show to reach extraordinary heights, which I hope it does. Now, quite similar to my last point, Demon Slayer gets better and better along the way. It starts off pretty slow and boring, and we'll get to that, but it gets better. The stakes, the emotions, and the plot all improve as the episodes go by. We meet the Hashira, who have a lot of potential to be interesting characters. We hear about the 12 Kizuki, who also have a lot of potential to be interesting characters. The engagement levels really just increased as the season went on, which is overall a good thing. It's always better to start poorly but end well than to start on a high and then only going downhill. So I praise it for that. I'm honestly very excited to see how the story progresses, and to see the fate of most of the characters, except a couple that I don't like. Which brings me to my least favorite part of this show, that being the worst character. Zenitsu. I really despise Zenitsu. I tried to like him. I thought that maybe, just maybe, his character quickly gets over his insecurities and we'd be free from his constant fucking screaming. But I was wrong. Zenitsu is the typical screaming anime character, and he's supposed to be comic relief. The only problem is that instead of making me laugh, he makes me want to rip my ears off. Now, these kinds of characters who are insecure and scared of everything are always present in anime in some shape or form, but never to this extent. Usually the screaming and whining doesn't go on for 3 to 5 fucking minutes. But with Zenitsu, it does. And it really makes me feel depressed. I have a vendetta against this character. There is a part where his arms have shrunk because he almost became a spider. And then all he needs to do is drink some medicine to grow back his arms. But it tastes bad. Nope. He doesn't have some allergy or some biological reaction towards the medicine that would stop him from drinking it. No, because later on he downs it like it's nothing. So he's just being annoying and childish and picky. And it really bugs me when Tanjiro tries to talk some sense into him and he just doesn't listen. At all. Ever. And instead he screams and 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 screams. And I don't even like the voice actor. He pisses me off. Maybe it's just because I'm a dub watcher. But even if it was in Japanese, I still wouldn't like him. It's not the actress's fault. I mean, he's just doing his job. It's the character, who's written poorly, and I just don't like poorly written characters. And this isn't just personal strife. Zenitsu really isn't a well-written character. First of all, his introduction shows him as what I like to call the single dialogue defining character, which basically means that you can sum up his entire character from one piece of dialogue that they repeat over and over again. This line being, "I'll be dead soon anyways," which he repeats excessively in some shape or form, and it gets old very quickly. It basically just shows that he's a scaredy cat and very insecure and nothing more. Let me give you an example of another single dialogue defining character, Gamaken from Naruto. This is that big toad that helps Jiraiya fight pain, and the only dialogue he seems to know is "I am ungraceful." And basically his only character trait is being ungraceful. Now this one isn't that bad because he's not an important character, so we don't really care that he's flat. Unlike Zenitsu, who's one of the biggest side characters. He's a flat character, and of course he's not going to stay like that. He will have his character arc, which kinda started in the season, but I'm not invested in it. This is not how you make a character arc. You can't just create a poorly written character and then make him complex later on. That's not what a character arc is. Look at Chuck Bass or Zuko. They're not likable in the beginning of their respective shows, but they're still well-written characters that have complexities to them. And when they finally do change for the better, it becomes really satisfying because we like them as characters. I'm sure I'm probably going to end up enjoying whatever Zenitsu becomes, but it still won't excuse what he is now. His character could become great down the line, but his arc just won't be satisfying. I could of course be wrong, and then I'll look stupid, and then you'll all call me a dickhead and a dumbass, but for now, I really don't like Zenitsu. But he's not the only bad character. He's the worst, but he's not the only one that I wish would have more development. For example, most of the demons are just flat characters that serve as a supernatural demon of the week type of antagonist, and in the context of Demon Slayer, it's really not that interesting to watch. I do like some of the demons, like Rui. He's interesting, but most of the time the demons are lackluster villains. But even the main character is a bit disappointing. Tanjiro is a generic shonen main character. He's not bad, I actually like him, but there's really nothing special to his character. No depth yet, which I'm sure we'll get more of, but so far, he's just not built to have much complexity at all. He's had a traumatic experience, but he's also the nicest person ever and sees the good in all people because he needs to believe that Nezuko can return to normal. And it works fine. It does the job. But I'm not that invested in his character. Maybe it's also because the first couple episodes were so confusing and stale and the pacing was completely off. And to be honest, I really didn't care when his family was killed. Of course, it does gain some shock value to see innocent children die, but we don't feel Tanjiro's pain because we don't know them. We have no connection with either Tanjiro or his family, so this moment and all of his motivation just falls flat. I'm not saying we needed to know the personality traits of each of his family members because they're not the focus of the story, but it would have been nice to at least get some insight into some of the emotions that Tanjiro connects with his family, instead of just patting each one of them on their heads and giving some motivational line and then just walking off. I really didn't engage with Tanjiro's backstory, and I really wish I'd have been more invested in him. But hey, he's not a bad character. Tanjiro is actually interesting when he bounces off other characters. It's just that when he's alone, then he's not a very engaging protagonist. His character is a bit stale, but I still like him, and I'm excited to see more of him. But yes, I've already talked about the poor pacing in the beginning of this season a bit, and I know that people like to praise it for this because it gets straight into the action, unlike a lot of older anime who drag out everything, and I like this when it's done right. My Hero Academia also has pretty quick pacing in the beginning. Deku's training arc is only like 3 to 4 episodes, but in that small time span, we learn so much about Deku and his motivations, but also about All Might and the hero world in general. Demon Slayer fails at this, because the first 4 or something episodes are really uninteresting. These are the episodes where we're supposed to learn a lot about Tanjiro, Nezuko, the Demon Slayers of the world, and also the training, but we really don't. For example, the forms. Tanjiro knows like 10 forms of what's basically waterbending, and he uses them strategically to beat demons, but we don't know how he learns them, and we don't know what they do because we were never told anything about them. We saw Tanjiro learning to control his breathing, but where the fuck did the water attacks come from? This wouldn't be a problem if not for the fact that the different forms play such a huge role in every fight. Like for example, he realizes he can't win against some demon with form 2 or 3, But oh my god, big epiphany when he uses Form 5 to absolutely destroy the demon. But why? Why does that one work? Is it more defensive? Is it quicker? Is it more agile? We don't know. We were never told anything. It feels cheap and unearned, and it makes the otherwise beautiful animation of these fight scenes feel empty at times. Not enough emphasis was put on the training and the world building, and it really damages the first half of the show. It does get better, and thank fuck for that, because I really want to get invested in the show. 3 changes. 3 changes is all it would have taken to make this season a masterpiece. 1 more episode for training, where the details of the training and Tanjiro himself would be expanded upon. A bit more emphasis on Tanjiro's relationship with his family, so that we'd be invested in his backstory, and Zenitsu being less annoying. Thing about Zenitsu is that he has an interesting character hiding somewhere. I often like the insecure and scared character who becomes good, and he has 2 pretty cool moments in the season. So if they just tone down the screaming and the insufferable nature of his character, then he'd be engaging. I really like a lot of things about Demon Slayer, and I want to see it succeed. Season 1 laid down a wonderful foundation, so now they just gotta be willing to step up and take advantage of it. Demon Slayer is painfully mediocre, because it has all the potential in the world to be great. So I wish the show all the best. Overall, despite its many flaws, I give Demon Slayer a 6.5 out of 10, because the good things about the show just make it worth the watch. I recommend it, but please wear earmuffs during Zenitsu scenes and you'll be golden. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then like and subscribe for more content like this. Join my Discord, and yeah, have a great day. Peace out.